Have you ever stood in the whiskey aisle, wallet ready, only to grab a bottle that looked premium but tasted like regret mixed with marketing? You're not alone. Americans spend billions on whiskey every year, but most never realize they're wasting money on bottles designed to look good, not taste right. Today, we're exposing 15 whiskeys you should leave on the shelf, followed by 3 that prove quality doesn't always require a second mortgage. Let's pour some truth. 15. White Claw Whiskey. Yes, this exists. And no, you shouldn't be surprised it's terrible. When a seltzer brand decides to make whiskey, you know boardroom metrics mattered more than barrels. Launched in 2023 to capitalize on White Claw's name recognition, this spirit tries to bridge hard seltzer fans and whiskey drinkers. The result? It bridges nothing and satisfies no one. The nose promises vanilla and light oak, but what arrives is the thin grain alcohol with artificial sweetness clinging desperately to the edges. One sip confirms the worst. There's no depth, no barrel character, just a watery approximation of what whiskey should taste like. The finish disappears faster than your respect for the brand. It's smooth, sure, but so is water. White Claw whiskey exists purely as a cash grab. The packaging screams trendy. The liquid screams mixer dependency. Fans of the seltzer buy it once out of curiosity, realize it's nothing like bourbon or rye, and never return. Whiskey enthusiasts avoid it entirely. It's the perfect example of a brand mistaking name recognition for actual craft. If you want light whiskey, grab Evan Williams' White Label. At least that one was made by distillers, not marketing teams. 14. Passport Scotch. Passport Scotch sounds like it should take you places. Instead, it takes your money and leaves you stranded with regret. Blended in Scotland but seemingly designed for people who've never tasted real Scotch, this bottom-shelf blend has haunted liquor stores since 1965. The price is tempting, usually under $15, but that savings comes at a cost. Your palate will pay dearly. The aroma barely registers. Faint grain, a whisper of smoke, and mostly ethanol. On the tongue, it's harsh and unbalanced. Thin body, sharp alcohol burn, and a finish that tastes more like paint thinner than peat. There's no malt sweetness to soften the blow, no complexity to explore, just heat and regret. Passport built its reputation on being cheap and available, the Scotch equivalent of desperate times. It mixes poorly because the base is so weak that even cola can't mask the chemical edge. Neat or on ice, it punishes rather than pleases. Some budget Scotches deliver value. Passport delivers only volume. If your budget is tight, spend $3 more and grab Famous Grouse or even Teacher's Highland Cream. Both are blends that actually taste like Scotland instead of lab-grade alcohol wearing a kilt. 13. Rich and Rare Canadian Whiskey. Rich and Rare promises luxury in its name and delivers neither richness nor rarity. This Canadian whiskey has been a bottom-shelf staple since 1982, found in every corner store between Vancouver and Halifax. The plastic handle bottles tell you everything before you crack the seal. This is whiskey designed for mixing in bulk, not savoring in contemplation. Pour it, and the color looks promising, a light amber that suggests barrel time, but the nose reveals the truth. Faint caramel, harsh grain alcohol, and an almost medicinal edge. The first sip confirms your fears. Thin, watery, with a flash of sweetness that's immediately overpowered by burning ethanol. The finish is mercifully short, but leaves a metallic aftertaste that clings stubbornly. Rich and Rare exists for one reason: price. It's the whiskey you buy when the goal is quantity over quality. College parties, large-scale mixers, desperate times at checkout. It doesn't offend violently, but it never satisfies either. Canadian whiskey earned global respect through brands like Crown Royal and Canadian Club. Rich and Rare is what happens when accountants run the recipe. If you need affordable Canadian spirit, grab Black Velvet or even Alberta Premium. Both cost nearly the same, but taste like they were distilled by humans, not algorithms. 12. Black Velvet Reserve. Black Velvet Reserve tries so hard to look premium that it forgot to taste that way. Housed in a sleek black bottle with gold lettering, it sits on shelves pretending to be something special. The label whispers sophistication. The liquid screams deception. This is bottom-shelf Canadian whiskey dressed in a tuxedo, hoping you won't notice it's still wearing sneakers. The nose offers light vanilla and oak, which initially seems promising, but the palate reveals the con. thin body, aggressive sweetness with no depth behind it, and a hot finish that burns without purpose. There's caramel flavoring added, which explains the syrupy texture that coats your tongue uncomfortably. It's not complex, it's not smooth, it's just sweet heat pretending to be quality. Black Velvet Reserve's strategy is pure optics. Make it look expensive, price it slightly above bottom shelf, and hope consumers mistake packaging for substance. Some do. Most regret it after the first glass. The Reserve label suggests aging or special treatment, but the taste tells a different story. If you want real Canadian Reserve whiskey, spend $5 more and grab Lot 40 or 40 Creek Barrel Select. Both deliver actual barrel character and complexity, not just fancy glass masking cheap spirits. 11. Wheatley Vodka. Whiskey. Buffalo Trace makes Wheatley vodka, and it's excellent vodka. But somewhere along the distribution chain, bottles of their wheat whiskey ended up confused with vodka on shelves, and honestly, that's appropriate. This wheat whiskey tastes so neutral, so devoid of character, that calling it vodka wouldn't be inaccurate. It's the whiskey. For people who don't actually want to taste whiskey, the aroma is faint, slight grain sweetness, maybe a hint of vanilla if you really search for it, but mostly it smells like filtered grain alcohol with ambitions of being bourbon. The palate follows predictably. Clean, almost too clean, with a whisper of wheat sweetness before vanishing into a short, forgettable finish. There's no oak influence, no barrel spice, nothing that suggests this liquid saw wood at all. Wheatley vodka succeeds because vodka should be neutral, but whiskey isn't vodka. Whiskey demands character, depth, a conversation between grain and wood. This wheat whiskey offers none of that. It's smooth to the point of invisibility. Bartenders might use it for cocktails where whiskey is required but not desired. But even then, why not use something with personality? If you want wheat-forward whiskey that actually delivers flavor, grab Bernheim Original or Dry Fly Wheat Whiskey. Both prove wheat can shine without disappearing. 10. Cutty Sark Prohibition Edition. Cutty Sark's classic blend is forgettable but functional. Then they released Prohibition Edition and somehow made it worse. Supposedly inspired by the whiskey smuggled during American Prohibition, this expression tries to capture outlaw romance, but ends up tasting like watered-down regrets. The higher proof should add body and heat, but instead amplifies all the wrong characteristics. The nose hits with sharp grain alcohol, a hint of citrus peel, and barely any malt sweetness. On the palate, it's thin and aggressive. The promised smoothness evaporates under harsh ethanol burn that coats your throat unpleasantly. There's a faint lemony note trying to break through, but it's drowned by the chemical sharpness. The finish is short and bitter, leaving you wondering what exactly you just paid $30 for. Prohibition Edition's failure lies in its concept. Smuggled whiskey during the 1920s was often rough because it was young, poorly stored, or diluted by bootleggers. Why would you recreate that experience intentionally? Cutty Sark bet on nostalgia and historical branding, but forgot that modern palates expect modern quality. The bright yellow label screams for attention. The liquid inside whispers apologies. If you want good blended scotch around this price, grab Monkey Shoulder or Naked Malt. Both deliver smoothness and character without pretending rough history equals good whiskey. 9. Hudson Baby Bourbon. Craft distilling has produced incredible whiskeys. Hudson Baby Bourbon isn't one of them. Released by Toot Hill Town Spirits in New York's Hudson Valley, this was among America's first craft bourbons in 2003. It promised local grain, small batch production, and artisanal care. What it delivered was a 350 milliliter bottle that cost $50 and tasted like unfinished potential. The nose is dominated by raw corn sweetness and harsh new make spirit. There's almost no oak, influence despite claims of barrel aging. On the tongue, it's hot, young, and unbalanced. The corn sweetness clashes with sharp alcohol burn, leaving no room for complexity or nuance. The finish is short and acrid, with a lingering bitterness that suggests insufficient aging. It tastes like bourbon that got bottled 2 years too early. Hudson Baby? Bourbon's sin isn't that it's craft, it's that it charged premium prices for inferior product, banking on the craft whiskey boom to carry sales. Early adopters bought it excitedly, then realized they'd paid luxury prices for something that tasted worse than $10 Jim Beam. Age matters in bourbon, and Hudson's Young Spirit proved that artisanal intentions don't replace time in wood. If you want excellent craft bourbon, try Smooth Ambler Old Scout or New Riff. Bottled in bond, both prove small distilleries can compete with Kentucky giants when they respect the process. 10. Tin Cup Whiskey. Tin Cup whiskey arrived with rugged Colorado branding and a metal cup cap that screamed mountain authenticity. The marketing promised high-altitude distilling and Rocky Mountain character. The reality? This is MGP-sourced whiskey from Indiana, aged in Colorado for legal label claims, then bottled with more attention to packaging than palate. Its outdoor aesthetics masking industrial origins. The nose offers light caramel and faint spice. Nothing offensive, but nothing memorable. The taste follows predictably. Thin body, mild sweetness, and a finish that disappears before you can analyze it. There's no depth, no complexity, just functional whiskey-wearing adventure gear. Over ice, it becomes even more anonymous. In cocktails, it contributes nothing distinctive. It's the whiskey equivalent of stock photography depicting rugged individualism. Tin Cup's success proves packaging matters more than most distillers admit. The clever cup cap and mountain imagery sell the dream of Colorado wilderness, but the liquid inside could come from anywhere. And mostly it does. Indiana's MGP produces excellent whiskey when brands age and blend it properly. Tin Cup didn't do that work. It slapped a postcard on a commodity product and charged premium prices. If you want real Colorado whiskey, try Stranahan's Colorado Whiskey or Law's 4 Grain Bourbon. Both actually distill in Colorado and deliver flavors worth the altitude. 7. Templeton Rye. Templeton Rye's story is perfect. Small Iowa town, Prohibition-era recipe, Al Capone's favorite whiskey. Except almost none of that is true. Templeton Rye sparked lawsuits and scandal when customers discovered this artisanal Iowa rye was actually bulk-sourced MGP whiskey from Indiana with added flavoring. The settlement in 2015 forced label changes and payments to deceived customers, but the brand survived by betting people forget scandals faster than marketing campaigns. The nose promises rye spice and caramel, which it delivers adequately, but the palate reveals why purists remain angry. There's an artificial smoothness, a chemical sweetness that doesn't come from barrel aging alone. The rye spice feels muted, rounded off unnaturally. The finish is short and leaves a faint glycerin coating on your tongue. It's not terrible whiskey, it's just dishonest whiskey. Templeton's real crime wasn't sourcing from MGP. Plenty of excellent brands do that. The crime was lying about Iowa craft distilling while adding undisclosed flavorings and charging premium prices for deception. Some drinkers forgave them after the reformulation. But whiskey culture values authenticity above almost everything else. And Templeton burned that trust. If you want honest rye whiskey with real spice, grab Rittenhouse Rye Bottled in Bond or Old Forester Rye. Both cost less and deliver genuine character without the ethical baggage. 6. Dewar's Caribbean Smooth. Dewar's Caribbean Smooth represents everything wrong with flavored whiskey trend chasing. This expression takes their white label blend, finishes it in Caribbean rum casks, and hopes tropical vibes distract from fundamental mediocrity. The result tastes like Scotch whiskey had a midlife crisis, bought a convertible, and moved to Barbados without telling anyone why. The nose hits with artificial banana, vanilla, and faint smoke fighting for attention. None of them win. On the palate, the clash intensifies. Watery malt sweetness collides with rum-derived sugar notes, creating confusion instead of harmony. The smoke from the Scotch base feels out of place, like it wandered into the wrong bottle. The finish is mercifully short, leaving sticky sweetness and mild regret. Caribbean Smooth fails because it misunderstands both Scotch and rum. Scotch drinkers want peat, malt, and oak. Rum drinkers want molasses richness and tropical fruit. This delivers neither convincingly, instead offering a muddled compromise that satisfies no one. Desours saw trends and chased them desperately, forgetting their white label succeeds through simplicity, not gimmicks. If you want barrel-finished whiskey done right, try Angel's Envy Bourbon or Balvenie Caribbean Cask. Both prove finishing can enhance rather than confuse. Take a breath, maybe pour some water. We've waded through 10 disappointing bottles, and your hypothetical palate deserves a break. But we've got 5 more offenders to expose before we cleanse the slate with 3 whiskeys that actually earn your money. If you're nodding in agreement or shaking your head in disbelief, hit that like button and subscribe. Honest reviews like this help drinkers avoid expensive mistakes. Let's finish this cleanup. 5. J.W. Dant, bottled in bond. J.W. Dant carries the bottled in bond designation, which means it must meet strict federal standards. 100 proof, aged at least 4 years, produced in a single distilling season at one distillery. Those rules guarantee integrity, but can't guarantee flavor. J.W. Dant proves that legal requirements alone don't make good whiskey. This is technically compliant bourbon that tastes like it was aged in barrels made from resentment and neglect. The nose offers faint corn sweetness and oak, but mostly delivers ethanol harshness that makes your nostrils flare defensively. The palate follows with aggressive heat that obliterates any attempt at complexity. There's caramel somewhere beneath the burn, maybe vanilla hiding in the corners, but finding them requires suffering through waves of unbalanced alcohol. The finish is long in all the wrong ways, clinging with bitterness and astringent dryness. At around $15, J.W. Dant looks like a bottled-in bond bargain. But spending $5 more gets you Evan Williams bottled in bond, which proves budget-bonded bourbon can actually taste good. J.W. Dant feels like it was rushed through aging, bottled at minimum requirements, and shipped without anyone tasting it first. The bottled in bond label commands respect in bourbon culture, representing transparency and tradition. J.W. Dant wears that label like stolen valor. It meets the rules but misses the spirit entirely. Life's too short for harsh bourbon when better options exist at nearly identical prices. 4. Knob Creek Smoked Maple. Knob Creek makes excellent bourbon. Their standard 9-year expression delivers rich caramel and oak at reasonable prices. Then they release smoked maple. And somewhere in the Jim Beam distillery, someone made decisions that require explanation. This flavored bourbon adds smoked maple to their small batch recipe, creating something that tastes like breakfast became alcoholic and regretted it. The nose hits with artificial maple syrup, liquid smoke concentrate, and bourbon trying desperately to be noticed underneath. It smells like a campfire where someone spilled Mrs. Butterworth's on the logs. The taste is worse. Cloying maple sweetness dominates everything, drowning the bourbon's natural caramel and oak. The smoke flavoring tastes chemical, artificial, like someone described campfire smoke to a flavor chemist who'd never been camping. The finish is sticky, sweet, and leaves your mouth coated with regret. Knob Creek Smoked Maple exists because flavored whiskey sells, not because it should. Bartenders tried using it in creative cocktails, but discovered the maple and smoke overpower every mixer. Straight sipping is punishment disguised as novelty. The saddest part is the bourbon base. Knob Creek standard bourbon is genuinely good, well-aged, properly balanced. Covering it with artificial flavoring feels like vandalism. If you want smoky sweetness in bourbon, make an old-fashioned with Knob Creek standard bourbon and a proper maple syrup. Or try actual Islay Scotch for real smoke, but never ever buy this bottle twice. 3. Canadian Mist. Canadian Mist has occupied bottom shelves since 1967, and nothing about it suggests that should change. This is Canadian whiskey stripped of everything that makes Canadian whiskey. Interesting. No complexity, no character, just neutral grain spirits aged barely long enough to legally call it whiskey. It's the spirit equivalent of beige wallpaper in a waiting room. Pour it, and the color looks anemic. Pale gold that suggests minimal barrel contact. The nose offers almost nothing. Faint grain, maybe a whisper of caramel if you really search, but mostly just diluted ethanol. The palate continues the theme of aggressive mediocrity. Thin, watery, with flash heat that burns without warmth. There's no sweetness, no spice, no oak influence, just alcohol that happens to be brown. The finish doesn't exist, it's there, then it's not, leaving absolutely no impression. Canadian Mist's marketing claims smoothness, which is technically accurate. Water is smooth too. What it lacks is everything else that makes whiskey worth drinking. Body, flavor, complexity, soul. This is whiskey engineered by committee to offend nobody while satisfying no one. At around $12 a bottle, it's cheap, but so is dignity. Canadian whiskey can be excellent. Crown Royal, Lot 40, Canadian Club all prove that. Canadian Mist proves only that some brands survive through inertia rather than quality. If your budget is this tight, drink less frequently and buy something that tastes like it was made by distillers who care. 2. Johnnie Walker. Wine cask. Blend. Johnnie Walker built an empire on color-coded excellence. Red label for mixing, black label for sipping, blue label for celebrations. Then they released Wine Cask Blend, and suddenly the color coding felt less reliable. This expression finishes their blended scotch in wine casks, supposedly adding fruit and sophistication. What it actually adds is confusion and disappointment wrapped in pretty marketing. The nose promises red berries and vanilla, which sounds appealing until you realize those notes clash violently with the scotch underneath. On the palate, the confusion intensifies. Watery malt fights with wine tannins, neither winning, both losing. There's a strange sourness that suggests the wine casks weren't properly prepared, and a chemical edge that makes you wonder if this passed quality control or just quota requirements. The finish is mercifully brief but leaves an unsettling aftertaste. Johnnie Walker's wine cask experiment fails because wine and scotch speak different languages. Great finished whiskeys work because the secondary barrel enhances existing character. This tastes like two different drinks got accidentally mixed at bottling. The wine influence doesn't complement the scotch, it drowns it. Black Label costs nearly the same price and delivers everything this bottle promises but fails to achieve. Johnnie Walker's legacy was built on blending mastery. Wine cask. Blend feels like innovation for innovation's sake, ignoring centuries of wisdom about what makes scotch actually taste good. Sometimes tradition exists for good reason. 1. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey. Jack Daniel's Old Number. 7 built a legacy as America's favorite whiskey. Black label, square bottle, rock and roll attitude. Then they released Tennessee Honey, and suddenly everyone understood how great brands can sabotage themselves. This flavored whiskey adds honey liqueur to Jack Daniel's, creating something that tastes like whiskey decided to become dessert, without consulting anyone who actually drinks whiskey. The nose is dominated by artificial honey. So sweet and cloying, it smells like someone melted honey-flavored candy into grain alcohol. There's barely any whiskey character beneath the sugar avalanche. The palate confirms your worst fears. Sticky, syrupy sweetness that coats your entire mouth, drowning any trace of Jack Daniel's characteristic banana bread and charcoal notes. The honey flavoring tastes artificial, like honey-scented air freshener, rather than actual Tennessee wildflower honey. The finish clings stubbornly, leaving a sugary film on your teeth and tongue that makes you crave water immediately. Tennessee. Honey succeeded commercially because it makes whiskey approachable for people who don't like whiskey. College students mix it with lemonade. Casual drinkers order it at bars because it's familiar and unthreatening. But for anyone who appreciates actual whiskey, this is liquid betrayal. Jack Daniel's had a perfect product in Old Number 7. Adding honey liqueur didn't improve it, it murdered it. The saddest part is seeing this bottle next to regular Jack Daniel's on shelves, watching newcomers choose honey and never discover what Tennessee whiskey actually tastes like. If you want honey notes in whiskey, buy real bourbon like Wild Turkey or Four Roses. Both carry natural honey tones from aging without artificial sweetening. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey isn't whiskey. It's honey liqueur wearing whiskey's jacket, hoping you don't notice the difference. So there they are, 15 bottles that prove marketing budgets matter more than MASH bills. Packaging outweighs palate, and celebrity partnerships can't fix fundamentally flawed spirits. But negativity only goes so far. Whiskey is supposed to bring joy, not disappointment. So, let's cleanse the slate with 3 bottles that restore faith. Whiskeys that prove quality still exists at reasonable prices, crafted by distillers who respect tradition while delivering flavor worth savoring. 3. Old Forester, 1910. Old Forester's Whiskey Rose series tells the story of their Louisville distillery through 4 distinct expressions. 1910, named after the year a fire forced them to relocate, is the richest and most indulgent of the lineup. This is bourbon that understands dessert doesn't mean adding artificial flavoring. It means coaxing natural sweetness from grain and wood through patience and care. The nose opens with layers of caramel, dark chocolate, and cherries soaked in brown sugar. There's a whisper of oak spice beneath, but the dominant impression is richness. On the palate, it delivers everything the aroma promised. Thick, almost chewy texture coats your tongue with vanilla cream, toasted marshmallow, and baking spices. The double barreling process, where it's finished in heavily charred new barrels, adds depth without harsh tannins. The finish is long, warm, and satisfying, fading slowly with waves of caramel and oak. Old Forester 19. 10 succeeds because it's unashamedly bold without being unbalanced. At 93 proof, it carries enough heat to open up with a splash of water, revealing even more complexity. It's bourbon for sipping slowly, contemplating the craft that went into every drop. Whether neat with water or over a single large cube, it performs beautifully. At around $60, it's not cheap, but it's honest. Every penny goes into the liquid, not the marketing department. This is what premium bourbon should taste like. Rich, complex, and memorable for all the right reasons. When someone asks what separates good bourbon from great bourbon, pour them this. 2. Redbreast 12. Irish whiskey often gets dismissed as too smooth, too simple, lacking the complexity of Scotch or the boldness of bourbon. Then you taste Redbreast 12, and suddenly you understand why serious drinkers respect Irish single pot, still whiskey. Made at Middleton Distillery in Cork, this expression combines malted and unmalted barley distilled in traditional copper pot stills, then aged in both bourbon and sherry casks. The result is Irish whiskey with backbone, sophistication, and layers that unfold with every sip. The nose is a masterclass in balance. Honeyed malt, green apple, and vanilla cream led into subtle sherry notes of raisin and fig. There's a faint nuttiness, like toasted almonds woven throughout. On the palate, it's silky and full-bodied. The pot still spice shines through with black pepper and ginger, balanced by rich fruitcake sweetness and buttery oak. The sherry cask influence adds depth without dominating, contributing dried fruit notes that feel integrated rather than imposed. The finish is long and warming, fading gracefully with lingering spice and dark chocolate. Redbreast 12 proves Irish whiskey can compete with any category when made properly. It's complex enough for Scotch drinkers, smooth enough for bourbon lovers, and uniquely Irish in character. At around $65, it's positioned as premium, but the quality justifies every dollar. This is whiskey that rewards attention. Each sip reveals something new, encouraging slow contemplation rather than quick consumption. Whether you're new to Irish whiskey or a seasoned enthusiast, Redbreast 12 delivers an experience that reminds you why whiskey culture exists. It's craftsmanship you can taste, tradition you can feel, and excellence you can share proudly. 1. Russell's Reserve Single Barrel Bourbon. Wild Turkey's Russell family, Jimmy and Eddie, have spent decades proving that bourbon doesn't need gimmicks when it has soul. Russell's Reserve Single Barrel is their masterpiece. Each barrel is hand-selected, bottled at barrel proof without chill filtration, and represents everything Kentucky bourbon should be: bold, honest, and unapologetically flavorful. This isn't bourbon trying to please everyone. It's bourbon that knows exactly what it is and refuses to apologize. The nose hits with authority. Caramel and vanilla lead into cherry, cinnamon, and toasted oak that smells like a woodshop in autumn. There's depth here, complexity that invites you to keep smelling before that first sip. On the palate, it's a revelation, rich and oily in texture, coating your mouth with layers of flavor. Dark fruit, toffee, baking spice, and a backbone of charred oak that feels earned from years in the warehouse. The proof varies by barrel, typically between 104 and 110, delivering heat that opens up beautifully with water or ice. The finish is long, warm, and evolving. It doesn't just fade, it transforms, leaving traces of chocolate, leather, and tobacco. What makes Russell's Reserve Single Barrel exceptional is its consistency despite being single barrel. The Russells know their warehouses intimately, selecting barrels that showcase Wild Turkey's house character while allowing individual variation. Every bottle is different, yet every bottle is excellent. At around $65 to $70, it's priced fairly for barrel-proof single-barrel bourbon. No fancy packaging, no celebrity endorsements, just a bottle that says Russell's Reserve and delivers everything that name promises. This is bourbon for people who love bourbon, bold enough to sip neat, complex enough to study, and approachable enough to share with friends who think they know what good whiskey tastes like. Pour them this and watch their understanding evolve. So, there's your roadmap. 15 bottles to avoid, 3 to embrace. The difference isn't price alone, it's intention. The bad bottles chase trends, cut corners, and hope packaging distracts from mediocrity. The good bottles respect tradition, trust time, and let craftsmanship speak through the liquid. Next time you're facing that overwhelming whiskey aisle, remember this. Real quality doesn't need artificial flavoring. Honest whiskey doesn't require celebrity names. And the best bottles are often the ones that let the spirit do the talking. Your palate and your wallet will thank you. What's your biggest whiskey disappointment? Drop it in the comments. And if this saved you from a bad purchase, hit subscribe. Your next great pour might be just one video away.